In the 17th century, London was already a European behemoth, with a populace nearing 500,000 souls. It was a bustling, rapidly expanding urban center, its character forged by commerce, riverine transit, and the ceaseless activity along the Thames. This presentation employs cutting-edge artificial intelligence to imbue historical artwork and etchings with life, granting us the ability to alter viewpoints, adjust camera perspectives, and traverse these very scenes in ways the original creators could never have envisioned. To commence, I wish to discuss what we now refer to as Old London Bridge, a structure about which my knowledge was surprisingly deficient before embarking on this exploration. By the 1600s, Old London Bridge was far more than a mere river crossing. It was a densely populated thoroughfare suspended above the River Thames, connecting the City of London to Southwark. Residences, emporiums, storage facilities, chapels, and fortified gateways adorned the bridge so comprehensively that from afar it resembled less a bridge and more an unbroken neighborhood stretching across the water. The edifice was supported by a series of slender stone arches underpinned by formidable piers. These piers narrowed the tidal flow of the Thames beneath them, generating potent currents that rendered navigation perilous. Vessels attempting passage through the arches encountered fierce surges, and mishaps were a common occurrence. The structures built upon the bridge ascended multiple stories, frequently jutting outward over the roadway, and inhabitants lived their lives above the perpetual motion of carts, steeds, and pedestrians below. The threat of conflagration was ever present. Congestion was unavoidable, yet individuals continued to reside and labor there for successive generations. To traverse Old London Bridge was to pass not only through a commercial artery, but also beneath evident symbols of authority and governance. Below, the Thames served as London's principal artery. Barges, ferries, merchant ships, and smaller craft teemed on the water, transporting grain, lumber, coal, textiles, and imported wares. The river linked London to the English hinterland, to the continent of Europe, and to the broader Atlantic world, positioning the bridge as a nexus where local existence and global trade converged. During exceptionally cold winters, the constricted passage beneath the bridge's arches could contribute to the river freezing over. In these infrequent instances, the Thames would briefly transform, with people venturing onto the ice below the bridge, a striking contrast to the usual hazards the river presented. This depiction showcases the northern entry to the bridge, approached via the area adjacent to St. Magnus the Martyr's Church, which is visible to the left. By the mid-18th century, the bridge had deteriorated so severely that authorities resolved to clear and reconfigure it. And between the years 1756 and 1762, the buildings that had densely occupied Old London Bridge for centuries were progressively dismantled. Although this painting originates from the 1700s, it portrays a crossing that had already defined London for hundreds of years. Remarkably, this is a location that one can still visit today. What renders Old London Bridge so remarkable is not merely its architectural ingenuity, but its longevity as a lived-in space. It functioned simultaneously as vital infrastructure, a bustling marketplace, a distinct neighborhood, and a potent symbol. Monarchs and commoners alike crossed it. Merchants and laborers plied their trades upon it, and newcomers arriving in London first encountered the metropolis at this constricted passage. Old London Bridge was cramped, dim, and frequently unsanitary. It impeded traffic, created bottlenecks for trade, and posed continuous dangers to those who dwelled and toiled upon it. Yet for centuries it remained indispensable. Until the 18th century, it was the sole permanent crossing of the Thames in central London, making it an unavoidable thoroughfare for movement north or south across the city. Occasionally, I wish I could journey back and experience this locale as it once was, even for a single day. For the present, I suppose this AI reconstruction is the closest I can get to that aspiration. This is Buckingham House in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. Long before it was designated Buckingham Palace, it was originally constructed as a private dwelling on the western periphery of London, situated apart from the city's congested heart, encircled by open terrain and gardens. At that time, this area marked the demarcation between urban London and the pastoral countryside beyond. It served as a reminder that even as the city grew more densely populated, its boundaries remained distinctly perceptible. In September of the year 1666, London was afflicted by one of the most calamitous fires in its history. What began as a minor blaze rapidly consumed a city largely constructed of timber, its narrow alleys and densely packed edifices transforming the fire into an uncontrollable force. The initial image displays Cheapside engulfed in flames, with old St. Paul's Cathedral discernible in the distance, its square spire already under threat. Soon even this monumental edifice would succumb. The second view looks across the Thames near the Tower Wharf on the evening of September the 4th. London appears as an unbroken expanse of fire. To the left stands London Bridge, while to the right, the Tower of London narrowly evades destruction. Old St. Paul's burns at the epicenter of the skyline. In a mere few days, a substantial portion of medieval London was reduced to cinders. Yet the fire marked a pivotal moment, clearing away centuries of dense construction and compelling the city to reconstruct, reshape, and commence anew. Rising above the river, the Tower of London in the 1600s occupied a central position of royal authority. By this period, it served as a fortification, an armory, a treasury, and one of England's most infamous penitentiaries. High-profile individuals accused of treason were confined within its walls. The tower also safeguarded royal documents, armaments, and even the crown jewels, solidifying its role not merely as a place of punishment, but as a cornerstone of the English state. This scene depicts Cheapside in the year 1638, one of London's most significant ceremonial thoroughfares during the procession of Marie de Medici as she entered the city to visit her daughter, Queen Henrietta Maria, and King Charles I. Cheapside was not solely a commercial artery, but also a venue for royal pageantry, lined with fountains, crosses, and temporary structures for public spectacles. At its heart stands the Cheapside Cross, a familiar landmark and gathering point. While soldiers, officials, and throngs filled the street beneath the grand spectacle, moments such as these reflected mounting political and religious tensions as Henrietta Maria's Catholic faith and foreign origins unsettled a city already inclining towards civil war. Today, this very stretch endures as the modern Cheapside in the City of London, near St. Mary-le-Bow, a location where the street persists even as the medieval landmarks have vanished. This illustration portrays the political and ecclesiastical complex of Westminster in the year 1647. Viewed from across the River Thames, it captures a moment when England itself was profoundly divided. On the left stands the old Palace of Westminster, the seat of Parliament and the nexus of political power. By the mid-17th century, it had become the focal point of escalating conflict between the monarchy and Parliament, particularly during the era of the English Civil War. Immediately adjacent rises Westminster Hall, one of the palace's oldest and most magnificent surviving sections, utilized for judicial proceedings, state trials, and major public assemblies. Its vast roof symbolized royal authority, long before it became a stage for challenging it. To the right dominates Westminster Abbey, the spiritual core of the nation. For centuries it had served as the site for coronations, royal funerals, and the interment of kings and queens, reinforcing the sacred dimension of monarchy. In 1647, the abbey stood precariously between tradition and upheaval, as religious divisions reshaped England's institutions. At the heart of the scene are Westminster Stairs, a bustling river, landing where travelers arrived and departed by boat. In an age preceding the dominance of bridges and paved roads for transit, the Thames functioned as London's primary conduit, transporting politicians, clergy, messengers, and citizens directly to the doorstep of authority. This etching depicts the Palace of Whitehall in the year 1643, then the largest royal residence in England and the principal abode of the monarch. From these steps facing the river, monarchs and courtiers arrived by boat, underscoring the Thames as London's primary route for travel and power at the center of the Stuart court. Stretching along the Thames, Whitehall was not a singular palace, but an extensive complex of halls, chambers, and administrative buildings, where royal governance was conducted. Much of Whitehall was destroyed by fire at the close of the 17th century, and today only the banqueting house endures, standing as the last vestige of what was once the hub of royal life. This is Richmond Palace in the 16th and early 17th centuries. One of the most significant royal residences situated outside of central London. Originally reconstructed by Henry VIII on the site of a former medieval manor, Richmond became a cherished sanctuary for Tudor and early Stuart monarchs, offering cleaner air and space removed from the congested city. It was here that Elizabeth I spent her final days, passing away at the palace in the year 1603, marking the conclusion of the Tudor dynasty. Over time, the palace fell into disuse and was gradually dismantled, and today its grounds form part of modern Richmond, with only traces of its walls and layout surviving beneath the streets and riverside paths. Standing here, reflecting upon these moments, it is difficult not to perceive how proximate the past truly is. These streets, these edifices, these occurrences shaped the world in which we reside. And through these reconstructions we gain merely a glimpse of what it was like to be present. If there is another city, another epoch, or a historical scene you would like to see brought back to life, kindly inform me in the comments section. I would be delighted to continue building this journey into the past with you. Once more, thank you profusely